Greetings, Darklings, from across the interwebs. It is once again I, the Duchess, Precious Ken. Wow, I got a exciting twist in the show for today. But first, I'm going to do the unboxing thing. I'm finishing up tonight, hopefully, my Cold Waves article. And I have a couple of little treats that I got when I was there, one of which is the Cold Waves compilation. This is absolutely awesome. It had all of the bands that I saw the preview, well, from 2019 that were on it, and just a great rundown of Adult, Curse Mackey, Twin Tribes, Boot Blacks, Clack, Street Sex, Kala Mikla, Filter. Must pick up, go to the website for coldwaves.com and check that out. And I also, this isn't even known, people can't even know about this. Silverwalks put this in my hot little hands, and you need, when this comes out, to check it out. This is a game changer. It is going to blow you away. We'll have a review for it. I'm going to have Silverwalks on and we'll talk and keep an eye out. There's a single out right now that's absolutely just magic. And then the last one, I have Machines with Human Skin that I got when I went to interview Martin Adkins. I saw Adrian there, and they gave me a copy of the Machines with Human Skin CD. So I look forward to listening to that. I also want to shout out that today, instead of talking about music like we normally do, I'm going to be talking about wrestling. I don't know if all of you knew this. I have become, in the last couple years, a huge AEW wrestling fan and really into it. I'm rocking the League of Terribles t-shirt that I have here from one of my favorite indie wrestlers that I'm sure we'll get to talking to later. But first, I want to introduce my special guest, Trever. Welcome to the Sounds
Hello.
and Shadow Show.
Hello.
Trever, I'm so geeked to have you here. We've talked a lot in the last year and had a lot of good discussions. And I think, to me, like when I got into wrestling when I was a kid, of Roddy Piper and Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan and all that stuff. And then I kind of just left it behind for a few decades, and just recently in my 40s picked it up again and really have had fun getting back into it. To me, AEW has that same kind of flavor and has really been a big deal for me for getting back into wrestling. And I loved that I found a wrestler who is actually goth. I think that we have people like The Undertaker, or, where you can talk about that, or Demolition. I remember back in the day, the tag team, they have that goth aesthetic, but they weren't really into the music, you could tell. Like, I think Undertaker probably listened to like Motorhead and Judas Priest and shit. He looked like a biker in real life. But you really know and love goth, post-punk, industrial music. And so I was excited where I got this crossover to have you on the show and talk both music and wrestling. So to start out with, tell me about who you are, what the promotions that you've worked in, some of the things you've done, and give us a little bit of your wrestling background.
Let's see. This is, what is it, October 2021? So I'm pushing my 10-year anniversary is coming up in November.
Ooh, very cool.
So, yes, I've been at this a really long time. I've been a little bit of everywhere. Like, I've actually wrestled in, I think I counted the other day, I've probably wrestled in 26 of the 50 states here.
Wow.
And Japan. So far.
I knew that one. I was excited for you to talk about that. We'll get back to that one.
I won't shut up about it, so it's okay. I've been like backstage and helped out pretty much everywhere. I haven't gotten to wrestle for everybody. I've almost gotten to wrestle for everybody, but stuff always happened that ended up changing scheduling or whatever, which kind
Sure,
of
sure.
sucks.
I
But
mean, when you're an independent guy and kind of moving around from place, there's got to be a lot of complication, probably even more than like as a musician with bookers, with different territories,
yeah,
areas. There's probably a lot of politics that you need to be able to do wrestling, I imagine.
unfortunately, uh, it is very similar to music in that aspect.
Mhm.
Unfortunately,
So you did mention a minute ago, and I do want you to talk about this. One of the really exciting things is, yeah, you spent some time and got to go over there to Japan and as a wrestler. What was that like, and how is it different from the American scene?
the the respect for training and what we do is just through the roof in Japan. So much so that like it spoiled me. So when I came back, I was just like, man, y'all don't y'all really don't understand how easy you have it. Like you didn't have to train as hard. Sometimes I guess with like, and maybe this is because I've been like helping train people down at
Mhm.
the school, that sometimes newer wrestlers are like a little spoiled, and I'm just like, look, you didn't have don't don't be a jerk.
Sure.
Because yeah, because you have it a lot easier than you think you would if say you started in Japan.
I
Whereas
know
like
how it is. Like,
I went over there like that was my like eighth, ninth year of wrestling, and I literally like super humbled myself, went back to the beginning, and treated myself like I was a brand new trainee. And I just listened and I did what was asked of me, and I didn't like back down from the training because it's hard. Like it's
right.
really hard. I got lucky that my trainer here spent a lot of time there, so he kind of trained us the same way, and he was a Marine, so he was like, "No, you're doing it all, and just don't give up."
Yeah.
And I took that with me when I got there. I was ready to go, and like I literally jumped off the plane and walked right into training. So I was like, "Yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go."
Now, did you learn any language or anything to prep yourself for that? Or did you
Um,
just walk in blind and that's why you had to walk right into training? Because where else were you going to go? Who could you talk to?
I walked in blind. I should have, and like I really didn't learn enough. Like I didn't learn enough of the language before I got there to like really do anything other than maybe
Sure.
ask for the bathroom or ask for like how to get on the train.
Yeah.
And even that, like I couldn't really. My brain was like overloaded with excitement, so I literally just put my GPS on and I walked over to the train station guy and I was like, "Hey, look, I'm trying to get here. Can you help me out?" And he was the nicest guy. He literally walked me over to the machine. He
Nice.
showed me how to use it. He told me where to go. Just, it's super, 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 super nice.
So a thing you brought up a second ago that I'm always really intrigued by too is I think a lot of people, maybe some people, if you're a casual fan, don't understand how much athletics goes into this and how much skill, because it kind of in a lot of ways is almost harder to not hurt somebody than to hurt them. Like that takes a lot of timing, a lot of understanding, and a lot of athletics, like core strength and ability to move in just the right way at just the right time, to not, in the same way that, say, a football player doesn't want to give
Mm-hmm.
somebody a concussion. They have rules about it. So you have to hit somebody at just the right angle, or you could seriously injure somebody, which is nobody's goal because they all want a career here, just
Yeah.
like you guys. You're carrying on a fight, you're doing that, and you could easily end somebody's career and seriously hurt them if you don't do this exactly correctly. And tell me a little bit about what a day for you looks like in terms of training and preparation when you're getting ready leading up to an important match.
So I'm usually in training 3 to 4 days a week. So normally I have to work out first. So I'll get to the training school, and I've got lucky that my training school has a gym in it, so I can work out first. So I take about an hour to do that, and then I normally am in wrestling training for about 3-4 hours a day for those
And what
4
does
days.
that consist of? You mean like weights, cardio, or do you mean just 3-4 hours a day just practicing moves, getting timing
So
down with
it's
somebody?
so it's a little bit of everything. It starts I do weights and stuff first,
Mhm.
and then we the cardio is a lot of body weight stuff usually, especially with newer students. I try to give them a whole lot of that because you're gonna
Mhm.
need it. And then it's a lot of not just practicing the moves. We have to do that
Sure.
because if you're gonna use a move, I think that you should be really good at doing it and you should be really good at taking it.
Right.
Um,
See,
and
I
then
love
from
that. I
there,
love that you said that. That's so
mhm,
important. Like the moves you use on people, you have to like know
you
how to take too, because you have to know what the expectation for the other person's body is.
because I can't tell you if I've never been hit with it before. It's the same
Yeah.
way with like I remember when I started boxing training, one of the first things we did was we had to get punched in the face because eventually you're gonna get punched in the
Right.
face.
So be
You
ready
have
for
to be
that.
prepared. Yeah. So if you wanna give somebody a crazy German suplex, you should be prepared to take a German suplex. And if you're not, then maybe don't ask. I think it's just out of fairness, like especially with stuff like that is knocks the hell out of you. You want to be willing to know what that feels like and know how to do it with somebody so that when you go and explain it, you're like, well, I'm gonna because maybe you do yours a little different. Maybe there's something you do with your hips that's a little
Yeah.
different. Like I'm super unorthodox, and a lot of times I make a lot of my moves up, so I have to know how to do it and how to
Just
take
to
it
explain it. Yeah.
just to explain it because I may not have outside of my own matches. I may not have a video for you to. Now I've taken to like just filming training now, so
Yeah.
if I come up with something and I've done it enough times where I feel comfortable with this just happened like last week because I made up a thing and I was like, well, let me film this so that until I've done it enough times and people are used to seeing it, I can show somebody so that they're not like, oh, because sometimes when you describe stuff, they're like, oh, that sounds terrifying. Like even, and I know, especially with me, like I throw a lot of strikes. So
Mhm.
because of that, like it sounds daunting at first. Like, yeah, so elbows, knees, and there's like, oh God, my face. I'm like, no, it's fine. I got you.
I
So
love that I keep hearing these parallels too, like as a musician, that to me, I hear so much of the same parallels on that, yeah, and the idea of filming just like we do a rehearsal, because
mhm,
maybe we have a normal thing we play during the song, but guitarist goes off and does a different kind of lick, or I sing it in a different way or something, and I want to go back and be like, whoa, what was that, what was I doing there, so that I can recreate it, because otherwise it's lost. And I love hearing that you guys think a lot like that and have that same idea to the excitement you're giving the crowd by pulling off something that looks really cool but you might not have planned for it.
mhm. And you kind of have to because it just to me it just makes it a lot easier. And it's funny because I didn't used to film training,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would do stuff or we would go over things, and then the next day I'd be like, damn, I wanted to use that thing. A lot of times, whatever I did at training during the week, I'm probably gonna do it during my matches on the weekend. So my brain's like, damn, I can't remember that thing we did. So now I'm like calling everybody that was at training, like, hey man, you remember that thing? How's it go? Like, what was it? And just because I just couldn't remember. And
I
then
can relate
especially
to
you
that
do
too.
3-4 hours, it's hard to like it's hard to I'm trying to keep all this fresh in my head for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So now I just like, you know what? I'm just gonna film the whole thing. It's like so much easier.
All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is the gothic gangster. Okay, this is your persona, and I love this, and this is so important. And I think this also again is a great parallel to music, because back in the day, in the 60s or 70s, it didn't matter as much what you looked like. Like the band Bread could sell albums in spite of the fact that they were the dopiest looking mofos in the universe, but they were good musicians, and that's all that mattered. And just play. But today that isn't true. it's social media, it's creating a buzz about yourself. You could be the most amazing athlete out there in the world, and you still need to get a push to get discovered. And part of that involves the promos that you're cutting, the story that you're telling, and how you do on your social media, your Twitter, your Facebook. You need to generate heat. And your character of this gothic gangster, tell me a little bit about who that is, and what makes him so terrifying to his opponents.
So here's what funny thing about the original Gothic Gangster is that I actually didn't even originally christen myself as that.
Oh.
One of my friends did. We were at a Ring of Honor show.
Well, give a shout out. Who told you this?
Khalil Cannon. Shout out to Khalil Cannon.
Shout out to Khalil.
Because he kind of encouraged me to be more of myself. Because I didn't use these things in wrestling before. I just kind of I would go to the goth club and dance and have a good time, and then I would go wrestle, and I would just be a completely different person. I just wasn't ready to like use it in wrestling yet because I didn't know how. And one day we were at a Ring of Honor show. I forgot what we were doing or helping out or something, and we were riding around in the car, and I had I think I had Bauhaus on or something, and I was talking to them about the goth club, and we were all wearing suits. And I had on this black suit, like I looked like a hitman because I had on this black suit, black tie, and it was super, super nice. I still have that suit. And we took a picture, and he called me the original Gothic Gangster when we took the picture. And I was like, okay, I think he just started something.
The OGGG.
And I was like, wait a minute, hold on. And I thought about it for a couple months. I ordered like some pants and everything, and I was like, okay, so what am I gonna do? So what is this gonna mean? What am I gonna do with this? And then I decided to kind of merge. Like I'm from like the south side of Atlanta. It's pretty hood, and I decided to merge that. Like if a gangster rapper merged with the lead singer of a goth band, and they were a demon, that's what happened. And I was like, this is the most me thing that I've ever done before. And it made it being myself so much more comfortable. And I think that's kind of the scary part, because people are like, oh, he's really like that. I'm like, yeah,
now,
really like that.
Because that's so much you. Like, and that's kind of going back to what I'm saying. Like, it's not a front on this. You go to the club, you listen to these bands, you talk to these bands and know them, in a lot of cases. Have you ever had a time when you got in the ring, maybe you'd met them earlier in the day for a promotion or something like that, but you go to do the thing, but they hadn't seen you with the hat, with the bull horns and the red eyes and the whole bit, where you got across the ring from some dude and you saw it in them that like they were like, whoa, what the fuck is
You'd be
this guy?
surprised at how often that actually happens.
Tell me about some time that went down where you just spooked some guy.
I like to not give people too much before they see me across the ring from them. Yeah. So I literally will, like, I'm like this.
Yeah.
You see me at first, and then I haven't put on all the stuff I come out to the ring in anyway. And then even once we get out there, my whole demeanor changes because I'm not relaxing anymore. Like, I'm ready to fight. And they'll kind of see it once because you probably aren't going to see me before you go out to the ring, especially if you go to the ring before me. So you're not going to see any of that because I put all that stuff on right before I walk out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, jacket, hat, horns, fix my mask, everything's and then they look up like, oh, hell no. They're like, what?
What did I sign up for just now?
Yeah.
They're looking at their manager like, how did you book me to face this psycho?
And then to take it a step further, I like to sit in the corner and stare at people. I got this from Mike Tyson, actually, which is really funny. He used to stand in the middle of the ring with the ref in between him and the guy, and he would just stare at the guy like this. And the guy would be moving, but Mike Tyson's doing this. Like if the guy moves, his eyes followed him, but his head didn't move. And I was like, I should do that because it's kind of scary, but how can I make it wrestling? And then I started sitting in the corner, but I would sit in the corner and I would just look at the person. And if they went this way, I would do this. And if they went the other way, I would do the same thing. And I would do that until they got closer, and I'd spring out of the corner. And I would literally just slide up and stand up. And everybody freaks out every single time because I don't normally tell anybody. I just do it, which is great.
How much do you think that plays a factor in terms of you getting the crowd behind you, whether you're going heel or whether you're going face, that when you get in someone's head and get a genuine reaction like that, how much juice does that add to your performance and what you're doing?
A lot, because normally the crowd always takes
they see a real reaction. They know the difference when it happens.
And it's funny because the first time I did that, I was like, I wonder if anybody's going to actually realize that I'm just sitting here turning my head. Because it's not a big movement, and everything in wrestling is big movements. So sure. Everything has to be like super huge so that the people in the top can see it.
Yeah.
And for some reason, this little head movement is really big. And I don't know if it's just because I project it that way or if just there's no other movement happening with me. So they're like, oh, he's going to do something. Oh, he's going to do something. Oh, he's going to do something. And then all of a sudden it happens. And they're like, oh, God.
There's always that one guy that you know that's like, I don't fight, but I stand up really fucking slow.
Mm-hmm. And the next thing you know,
and you know that's a bad dude. Like somebody who just, they're like, I don't have to rush. I don't have to talk about it. But if you see them get up, you're like, mm-hmm. Oh man, actually, maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love
it's like that person who doesn't start anything, but then you start something with them, and next thing you know, they're like, oh. Because a lot of times I'm usually that person. Because I don't bother people. Like I really don't. I try to like stay out of stuff, but every once in a while you have to remind people like, hey, look, I know I try to stay out of stuff, but do not.
But not today. Not today.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I want to change gears. We're going to talk some more wrestling. I can't wait to do that. Because for me, I get to talk music all the time. But I'm so geeked that I get to talk wrestling right now. But I do want to talk some music because you're legit into this, and I want to give you the opportunity because you support a lot of bands and have done this. Your ring music, I know we've talked about before, is a certain Swedish band that I am a big fan of. So why don't you tell me a little bit, what are you spinning right now and listening to as a music fan beyond wrestling?
So, well, that
first tell me about what your ring entrance music is, because this is badass.
So hilariously, and I may butcher it when I pronounce it, but Neon Sagain made me a song, and literally out of nowhere, I guess they were wrestling fans, and one day they DM'd me on Twitter and was like, "Hey, if you need a song, like we'll make you a song," and I was like, "Oh, wait." Yeah, hell yeah. And I just I didn't really like say what it needed to sound like or anything, because I'm like, you guys are goth, man. You watch a video of me and then make what you feel, because it's a lot easier. I think that it would have came out a lot more authentic that way. And then they sent me that song and I was like, oh my God. And it's so funny because you can see I'm genuinely having fun when I come out to the song, and I'm not just like here I come. Like you can see me like vibing to my song too. And
yeah, that's coming into the club and kind of,
that's 100% real. And that's how, when I first heard it, I was like, okay.
Kicking fireflies, in the goth club.
Stepping over your dead friend, clear cobwebs, all of it.
That's awesome.
And I, because of that, and because I've been using that song, I want to say for like a year and a half now, I see like the crowd doing it now. I see that's awesome. Well, show in New Jersey, the cameraman was dancing with me.
Funny.
Yeah.
I've been telling you got to use an Amazon. Now I know I need to actually just write a song for the Gothic Gangster specifically. I'm gonna have to. Okay, I'm on that. But and didn't you do Then Comes Silence or something like that for a while too?
I was coming out to the Dead Cry for No One at first, and oh my god,
That's
so
awesome.
a show like the bigger shows I worked, because the intro to that song is so hype, people were like, before I walked out, and I'm like, oh my god, didn't know that was happening. These people don't even like goth music. That's really cool.
All right, so who else are you spinning right now? What are you listening to when you're going to work out, do some weights and everything? What are you putting on the iPod?
So I've been playing that Actors Acts of Worship album nonstop.
I just did a huge review of that.
Jesus.
It's just a game changer, an honest to God game changer. Like after following their first album, I really wondered kind of where do you go from here? Because I don't think Jason ever expected, this will come to do what it did. And you got to follow that strong. And my God, did they? They just opened up so much. I mean, there's a lot more of like Shannon's voice on it, and the new bass player, just everything. It's absolutely
oh my God.
a game changer.
I've been playing that album like nonstop since I would put something else on for a little bit, and then I come right back to that. Like today, Apple Music suggested a band called Wires and Lights to me. I'd never heard of them before, and I was like, "Where have these guys been hiding? This is amazing too."
Yeah.
And then as soon as I was done listening to their album, because I had to give it a whole spin to make sure I actually liked them, I went right back to the Actors.
Now, have you ever talked to like Jason, Adam, and Shannon? Have you?
I've talked to Jason
to see about using one of their songs or something ever to do an intro to.
Funny you should say that.
I'm
not gonna say too much, but we have talked about that.
Okay. Nice.
If that happens, don't be surprised. How about that?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anybody else you want to give a shout out to that you've been hearing or listening to? What about when you're getting, because the Actors, I mean, that's great and it's got a good groove when you're doing cardio, but like when you're powerlifting, when you need something crunchy and mean, what's your jam?
See, Then Comes Silence is good for that. Because they're super hype. And then if I can't find the right, like maybe post-punk or like a goth rock kind of thing that I'm feeling that day, I'll put industrial on for that. Like the last Shiver album that just came out, which I've also been playing nonstop.
I actually had just talked to Pete today about coming on to do an interview. I'm excited for. Love Shiver. That last album was fire. And then I know the other one, you can shout out your boy Albie, Scary Black.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know that's your jam.
So funny you should bring him up because a fan said that they were going to make me like a highlight video. And I'm pretty sure they're using a Scary Black song.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love Albie. He asked me which songs I wanted him to use, and I sent him like a bunch of them. I was like, here, try this one. And I'm pretty sure he picked the Scary Black song. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if he's done with it. I can't wait to see it, but I'm pretty sure he's using a Scary Black song for that highlight video.
He did the album cover for the upcoming Amaranth album. You might need to hit him up for t-shirt logo.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Your wrestling, because he has some great logos. Awesome.
Yeah, because this artwork's amazing. I was like, wait, you do this too? That's badass.
That guy can do anything. And make sweet vegan burritos too. Yeah, he can do anything. Oh yeah, he's like a vegan chef. Yeah, he's a foodie too, like me. Yeah.
So Albie, if you come to Atlanta, same.
That's awesome. All right. Super, man, I have so many things I want to talk about. All right, let's get around a little bit. I want to talk some AEW. And I'm going to take a look here quick at the current rankings. And right now, we have the world champion, Kenny Omega, okay, that I'm a fan of. I mean, especially since he's done the heel thing, the whole thing with like doing a shoe ad in like every episode, and they are hilarious a-holes. And you got to do an AEW show. Like go down to Florida and record that. You got drill clawed by Brian Cage. What the hell did that feel like?
That's a scary move. That's a scary move. That's a terrifying move.
That dude is jacked in a
And he's deceptively agile to be that big.
You are a big, intimidating guy, but that guy is jacked. He's like my width, only muscular. Like his neck is to here. He's like a bull. That is
it's like two necks. One neck.
All right, so AEW and Kenny Omega, but coming up, they did tonight. I haven't watched it yet. So I recorded it. I'm gonna go back and watch it after this interview. But they had a ladder match to see who the next challenger is gonna be. Who do you think it is that eventually takes the strap off Kenny Omega? I want to hear your prediction.
I see. It's funny too because before Bryan Danielson and like CM Punk showed up.
Yeah, I mean that could be part of the conversation.
Yeah, I had my money on like somebody new. I wasn't exactly sure who, but I thought it was gonna be Jungle Boy first, and then it wasn't. I was like, oh,
I like Jungle Boy. I like Jungle Boy a lot. I think he's got all the moves. And I think one thing AEW lacks for a little bit is they could use more faces, like big name faces. So they have brought in now, like with CM Punk, who's kind of seems to be doing a different character for him than he did in WWE or whatever. Where
he's very happy.
He is. He's more of
I'm not used. I don't think any of us are used, especially I've been following CM Punk since like early Ring of Honor when he used to wear like basketball shorts. So I've never seen him like.
Yeah. So, and Bryan Daniels, same way. I mean, that is a dude like Kenny Omega, like their match that they had before was incredible.
That in the sense that
I don't think there's two guys in the world right now that have more technical skill going at the same time. Like, I mean, they are both the peak of the game in terms of knowing what the flip you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's another name.
I knew that match was going to be crazy. I didn't know it was going to be that crazy, but I knew it was going to be crazy.
But who do you think it is that it has to happen eventually? He's had a long reign on it that takes the strap off Kenny Omega.
If CM Punk stays like unbeaten and continues on the path he's going, it's gonna be my money's on him or Bryan Danielson. That's if Bryan Danielson isn't next, like because they obviously have to have a rematch.
Yeah.
Like that has to happen again because you
that's,
fight somebody to a draw, you always go
exactly. I think that's a solid call, but I'll tell you in particular with CM Punk, I love the fact that he seems to be, although he's still winning, like against Darby, he is putting over young people. And that's something to me that you get in AEW that you don't get in the other promotion. They are about one way or another, even if you lose for a young guy, they're still finding ways to add to your story and put you over, whether it's with Sting, CM Punk. Now, my hope and my pick, I hope it's Hangman. I mean, that's a guy
who I
very much
thought it was going to be.
And I get it. He just had a baby. He wanted to step away from it. And hey, family, that's everything, right? I mean, you got to think of your family.
You got to take care of your life.
But I think when he comes back, the story's that much stronger for him clawing his way back up, going through it. And if he, after they were tag team partners, takes that strap off Kenny, people would go nuts, I think. I think they'd go crazy. And then you could maybe talk about Danielson or somebody coming after him, you know, and that's another good, or having the fight with Kenny after he'd lost the belt, because Kenny Omega, if he loses the belt, he's still going to be very over, a huge star.
He's still Kenny Omega.
He's still Kenny Omega. All right. That's a good discussion. Okay. Now moving on. One of my favorites, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. I am finally getting excited about the women's division in AEW. Who do you think is going to have a chance to contend with her? I hope that one of the people they really push towards it is your fellow goth wrestler, who I think is legitimately goth, Abaddon. I love Abaddon's aesthetic, the character, the shtick.
Yeah,
love her.
I really hope
she is legit.
I hope she ends up in that title picture pretty soon. But we get tagged in stuff on Twitter a lot. Me, her, and Ryzen because
have you worked with Ryzen before? I thought I had seen like you guys were in promotions where you were in events together.
I see him in Florida on a regular basis because we both work at this company called Atomic Revolutionary Wrestling. Shout out to those guys because they always bring me to Florida. It's great.
Yeah, give a shout out.
And we've talked about it. Just we don't have any control over it, but
sure.
It's come up more than once. And even when I went down to AEW, that both of those weeks where I was there, he was there. I'm like, man, we could probably ruin the internet right now if me, you, and Abaddon just stood here and took a picture and didn't say anything. So the next time the three of us are in a room together, I'm gonna just take a picture and leave it at that. And I'm not gonna say anything else.
Or if you ever want to tell them, hey, do you guys want to talk music on a goth webpage? You call me anytime, day or night.
I absolutely will.
And I will pick up, and Abaddon won't say anything, but she can just hold up the CDs of what she's listening to.
She probably has signs, I'm sure.
Through the zombie language.
She might try to eat you, but
I'm good with it. It's fine. Whatever. All right. Next up, another thing that AEW does that I love is they actually give a crap about their tag team division. And when Ray Phoenix and Penta won the titles last month, it was just, I lost my crap. It was one of the most amazing matches I've ever seen in my life. What is it like for you that's a professional that sees, I mean, I see it through the eyes of a fan, and I was like, that was the most amazing. When he jumped off that cage, when Phoenix, to cross body, he was 25 feet in the freaking air.
It was crazy.
How do you not break every bone in your body? So, but you as a professional who knows the insides of just how difficult and how athletic a move like that and something is, when you see something like that, how does that hit you?
I'm the first thing that happens to me every time, especially when somebody climbs a cage or a ladder, and I know they're about to, and I can see like, oh, he's gonna jump off this thing. I'm like, oh God, please don't miss. I'm always like, please don't miss, because I've been at the top of cages and jumped off of them, and I'm just like, hope I don't miss. It's the first thing I think of. Like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna aim, because I have, especially with high fly moves, since I'm not that much of a high flyer, I have a really bad habit of jumping over people and then having to correct myself in midair. And just, I know how it is. And he's so great at that he probably has perfect body control, which is probably why he never has this problem. But it's always
honestly,
like,
those guys are freaking aliens, both of them. It's not human what the two of them do.
Them and freaking Dante Martin. I'm pretty sure Dante Martin's not human.
Dante Martin does not believe in gravity. Like,
no.
Every time I see him, I think of like we were talking earlier, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and Douglas Adams. And in like the third book, there's the thing of like, how do you fly? Well, it's easy. You throw yourself at the ground and then miss. Like, that's what I think of. He throws himself at the ground and misses. And I swear to God, I mean, Michael Jordan in his prime, like, I don't think just got the sheer altitude that guy achieves. I don't even know that
human beings can normally jump that high. Because I watched him one day and I was just like, how do you train to jump that high? Is that something you can train to do, or is that just you either got it or you don't? Because like, I like to think that I can jump pretty high. But it's like he's double jumped, like he's Mega Man. Like, he jumps here and he jumps again. Like, I don't understand. It's insane.
I think so. Saying the last thing about AEW, to me, that's something that I think has really gotten me back into it. Is the other promotion is so much, and was for so long, around, if you're not 6'5" or bigger, 250 pounds. We don't even want anything to do with you. And guys like that can't do. I mean, you get like a Brian Cage or something, and some of them can, or like Lance Archer blows me away that a dude that size can like physically behave like a 6'1" swimmer. You know,
Have you seen him moonsault?
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean,
I was like,
he's what,
that's
6'6", like 280 or something. It's dumb.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, AEW has reset the script. And look, just like in MMA or boxing or any other sport or basketball, you got a center, you got a point guard. They both bring something to the table, and they're both peak condition athletes. And I feel like that's the door AEW is really open to shine a light on the, athletes that are smaller guys that can pull off these amazing maneuvers that are unbelievable. How has that changed the game, in your opinion, as somebody going through it, coming up, getting a shot at some of these shows? How does that change your mindset about what your body needs to be and what your flexibility needs to be in terms of a wrestler?
So I growing up in Atlanta, like we used to watch WCW. Sure. And a lot of what we're seeing now is the evolution of the cruiserweights from back then. And guys are I try to like pay attention to what everybody's doing so that I can keep up, especially being like I'm 34. So I'm in way better shape than I was at 24, which is hilarious because there's things I can do now that I was not aware my body was capable of.
Yeah.
And it's because I saw people doing all these amazing things. And I'm just like, okay, well, guess I need to do yoga. All right, well, guess I need to learn some gymnastics. All right, well, I guess I need to learn this and that and learn it. It's like playing a video game. And you get one weapon, and then you upgrade that weapon, and you add some fire to that weapon, and then you add something else to it. And that's basically how I've been doing wrestling. And when you train with enough different people, like you get a little bit from everybody. It's like having different like martial arts masters.
That's awesome. Wu-Tang.
So if I find out who trained somebody else, I might go to them. And
nice, yeah.
Yeah, I do it all. I've been doing it for years. I had a couple years where that's literally all I did. Like I didn't have too many bookings. I just went and tried to learn from everybody. And you get a little different fitness stuff from different people. You get different wrestling stuff from different people. Like if you get in there with a lucha guy, he'll show you like lucha, and that's a whole nother can of worms stylistically, especially for somebody like me whose style is really like beat the hell out of people, throw them around. So lucha's there's a lot more finesse, it's a lot more smooth, and just going straight to the source and having somebody teach you that is what like keeps you like on your toes to be ready to get in there with somebody who can probably do like a penta, who can do crazy stuff that you were not expecting or you've never encountered before.
All right, we're coming up close to time. I got a couple of quick hits that I really want to get in. Man, I have so many things I want to talk about. All right. Number one, if you had your druthers, anybody living or dead right now, in their prime, you could face one wrestler, whether it's somebody from today, like AEW, or somebody, Bam Bam Bigelow or whatever, back in the day. Who would you love to take on in the ring?
Right now.
Do both. Right now, somebody that's around right now, and then an all time.
So if I had to pick somebody right now, it's Minoru Suzuki.
That would be cool.
Just because of, not even just necessarily because we're going to beat the crap out of each other, but because of the personalities. And
you like that strong style, strong style wrestling to actually show the red, show your stripes.
And he's basically God. Why would you not? And if I had to pick somebody who maybe isn't active right now or isn't alive.
Sure, or
something.
anybody of all time. I mean,
Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, why? Why is the Macho Man your guy?
Almost kind of for the same reason as Minoru Suzuki. Like, for all of his bright colors and big crazy outfits, Macho Man was like a straight up, run up, punch you in the face guy.
He was known as, I didn't know that about him. He was known as an actual like tough guy hitter. Like,
and if you ever watch, especially his matches with bigger guys, he's not one of those guys that's like, oh, that dude's bigger than me. He's like, I'm gonna jump on him. Like his match with Andre the Giant, he's like, he runs up, bam, 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 he's pushed away. He runs up, bam, 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 he's pushed away. So with us being like of comparable size,
yeah,
I know it's gonna be like a.
See, I think people forget at the end of his career, Macho Man was kind of like roided out and like super insanely big but like for most of his career, although because he was always standing next to like Hogan or Andre, you never thought of him as a big guy. He was always a big man.
He was still a pretty big dude.
But like he was just standing next to, I mean, I don't care who you are, standing next to Andre the Giant, everybody looks like a toddler. Like that guy was, I remember, so I used to, I did a summer job. I did 3 jobs that summer, but I was a parking attendant for the Palace in Auburn Hills. And when they'd have WWF events there, I would park the cars for the wrestlers. And I remember I parked a car for Dustin Rhodes when he was in his Gold Dust days. And I was 16 or 17 at the time, probably 5'11", 160 pounds. Like I was a tiny guy back then. Like I thought he was a different human. I thought he was like a Nephilim. Like what happens when a human and an angel get it on, and these things in the Bible. He was big on a level that I didn't think human beings could be big. And he wasn't even like the biggest dude out there. I mean, Dustin Rhodes is a big guy, even for wrestling, but he's not Andre the Giant. Like, I can't even imagine what that would have been like to shake. I shook his hand and I was just like, good God, his hand is like a freaking catcher's mitt.
Felt like that the first time I met Jake Snake because I didn't know he was as tall as he is. Jake's like 6'6". Didn't know that.
He's a big dude.
I met him at a show in Alabama. We were both on, and I was like, was Jake the Snake always this tall? Like,
did he
I don't know why I thought he was my height.
Because he, in particular, was always standing next to Andre. Jake and Andre, like, they had the bit together and said,
even like the Undertaker, like he's shorter than the Undertaker, so you're like, okay, well, he's not that tall, and then you see him in person, you're like, oh, you're
enormous.
You're actually really freaking tall. I felt the same way about Randy Orton. I know Randy Orton was as tall as he is.
Yeah, he's big. And Randy Orton just looks terrifying. Just the eyes. That dude just looks psychotic. Okay.
I mean, it's gotta be in there somewhere to be able to pull that off.
Yeah. Next question. Okay. To pull off what you do and be able to do, again, just like a band, like, you need support. You can't do this on your own. Like everything that it takes to do this on top of conducting a normal life. It takes a good partner to have your back and do that. And I know with a lot of things with your goth influence and being involved in kind of the macabre and stuff, your wife is involved with a lot of this stuff with you. Tell me a little bit about how important that partnership is to helping you succeed in this and some of the things you guys do together on this.
So it's not having, I've kind of been in the position where I didn't have somebody who's as supportive about this. Yeah. So having somebody at home who understands and is supportive about it is like next level amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like I would tell any like younger wrestler that, like, if you find somebody who really, really supports you doing it and understands, you might be gone, you might be beat up when you come home, and stuff like that. You need to hold on to that person. And wrestling actually helped us connect. That's because I met her at a wrestling show.
Ooh, okay. Meet cute.
Right? And she I kind of like introduced her to more of what like the goth scene is, because she knew some stuff. Like she was a big Anders Manga fan before we met.
Nice.
And I
Colin's
just kind of opened.
Doppelganger. I always joke around. My bass player Colin is Anders' doppelganger.
Oh, it's hilarious. And he's I don't know if you know this, but he's a big wrestling fan too.
I didn't know that, but now I'm going to have to, next time I talk to him, reach out and talk to him about wrestling.
Oh yeah, he's a huge wrestling fan. He and super supportive.
That's awesome.
Like, yeah. And
you guys do or she does books, correct too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's an author, like published 5 times over at this point. She's actually working on her 6th book right now.
And it kind of doesn't she have kind of like a darker horror, like gothy theme or something?
Dark. I think dark epic fantasy is the exact term. I should make her come in here and tell me, but I'm not.
You know what? Afterwards, I'm going to hit you. I'll link it in the interview down below to her book, but I just need to order that shit and read it. I'll throw a review of that up. There you go.
Mm-hmm. She will absolutely love that. And I took her to her first goth night here in Atlanta, actually, and she didn't know what to, like, I told her what it was.
Yeah.
But like I tell everybody, going to as much as I can shove the music in your face, you need to be in the environment that the music is for, so that you really understand why. And the second she walked in there, and I think there was I think it was Sisters of Mercy or something that was playing. And I guess she recognized the song. And for some reason, that moment is where she's like, oh, I get it now. I'm like, yeah, see? Because I wouldn't shut up about it when we first met. And she was like, well, I've never been, so I don't know, like, what you're talking about. That's fine. I got you. So I waited till I was going to go to one in New York, but I've never been to any of the goth nights in New York. So it made more sense to me to come home to Atlanta, where I know everybody, and I could navigate the area a lot better. And then it sucks too, because we never got to go to anything while we were up there, which I really wish we would have. So hopefully the more things open up, that there's a night up there where we can fly up to New York and still go to one of theirs. And it's been, now that's something we do regularly, or we did before pandemic and all this madness. But as the world opens back up and we have like nights again, I definitely want to, because I mean, I've been going to stuff for 12 something years now, because I didn't grow up with goth like a lot of people. I discovered it in my 20s.
Sure. And a lot of people did, actually.
Yeah. And it was because my friend is a DJ and he worked at Whole Foods with me, and he gave me a flyer one time. It was like, hey, you should come to this. And I didn't know what the hell it was. And I showed up and I was like, what did I just walk into?
You know, I think that is what I've talked about this before, but that is one thing I think people it always bugs the crap out of me. The holier than thou, like I happen to be 50 or I happen to be 44. So like I got to see this band or see this show before you did, because you know what? All that is crap. Like nobody is like spewed forth from their mother's womb with this intrinsic knowledge of what Sisters of Mercy Floodland was, and like you had a brother or a friend or a DJ or a sister, somebody played this stuff for you, and just because you happen to get it, I happen to get it at 15 and this other person didn't get it till 25, does not make me intrinsically more hip or cool or something. Like I always think that stuff is total bull crap and I hate it.
And it's funny too, because I wasn't like the elders that I met early on. They were the exact opposite. They were like, here's all these things. Yeah. Here's a show. You should come with me. Like I called one of my closest friends, I called her my fairy goth mom, because she was kind of the person that like shoved all the music in my face. So we would go to events, and if a song came on that I didn't know, she'd tell me about the song, and then we'd dance. See, afterwards, she's like, hey, here's this album. And I would just, nom.
That's what it's all about. Like, honest to God, like,
Wonderful.
to me, like, Sounds and Shadows and a little bit, that's what it's all about, you know, is making people feel welcome and bring them in, not try and like show your freaking cool points off. Like,
Yeah.
All right, the last thing that I've been dying to do, because we're getting up close to midnight now.
Oh God.
I'm about to come at you. Okay. We have a match going later tonight. Okay. I'm about to cut a promo on you. And then I want to see a real professional Trever promo on this guy. I want to see the character come at me in a real promo. Okay, so I'll start out and be like, listen here, short stack. Later tonight, I am going to dismantle you on a mental level, on a physical level, on every level. I have come here tonight to show these people, these garbage goth people throughout the world, that your music and your attitude will no longer be tolerated in the WWS.
What's that?
Duchess out.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Feeling good about yourself, Duchess? Feeling real good about yourself. You're talking real big, but everybody does that until they have to stand across from me and look me in my eyes and see the circles of hell behind them. Now, what you ain't gonna do is you're not gonna disrespect my people. You're not gonna disrespect our music. You're not gonna disrespect this audience right now. I'm going to put you in your place tonight. Unfortunately for you, your place is in hell, suffering at the behest of me, the king, Trever Aeon.
Mic drop. All right, I feel
My favorite
utterly
part of
served. I feel utterly served. Trever, my friend, this has been a true pleasure. This was absolutely awesome for me. I love this. I'm a huge fan of what you do and the work that you do. And I love the fact that you go out of your way to actually support and lift up goth music, because this culture, whether it's in wrestling, whether it's people doing painting, whether it's your wife doing, you know, literature, or whether it's me doing music, we're all a part of one ideal, and that's to celebrate kind of the darkness of life and how that reflects on our human experience. And it has been so awesome seeing this end and getting to fan out to something else I love. We are going to roll out here to a clip of you crushing some mofo and give people a chance to see that. Do you have do you want to play the Aeon Sable, your music along with it while you bust this fool?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll do that song. For everybody out there in interwebland, this has been Precious Ken and Trever on the Sounds and Shadows podcast, and keep it fucking dark, yo.